and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you, and we got a busy week of toy news, a couple of pages to dive into, but of course, before we do start that, we got some housekeeping. Got to thank our friends over there at jaystoysandgames.com. Use discount code Kyle, save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. Got to get a deal out there, and a lot going on at Jay's each and every day, and you'll see some pickups tomorrow in weekly purchases, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check that out as well. Plenty of content to keep you busy around these parts, so make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and my other YouTube channel. And don't forget about Patreon. Patreon, this month's giveaway, Professor Pig Platinum Edition from our friend Todd McFarlane on the couch here. That is the June giveaway for my birthday month, June. Did I tell you that yet, Todd McFarlane? June 25th, mark your calendars. Oh, my birthday right around the corner, so quite a lot to celebrate. We did have my wife's birthday the other day, but yeah, we've moved on from that. We've moved over to my birthday now. It's all about me at the end of the day. Maybe not, Todd McFarlane. But we got some stuff to dive into, and we're going to start off hot. We're going to start it off with the conspiracy of the week.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Yes, you heard it. The conspiracy of the week starting off hot this week. And of course, we got Power Town update, Todd McFarlane. But conspiracy of the week this week, I found it interesting in my email. Got a little email blast from Pro Wrestling Tees, and it looks like they got a little sales ski going on for one Macho Man Randy Savage. All Macho Man Randy Savage stuff, 25% off. What are we doing? Why would that be so cheap? What is going on there? And that's where my conspiracy brain, my conspiracy alarm started to go off. I said, wait a minute. Could they be dumping all the Macho Man stuff they have because maybe he has signed a Legends deal? Could we get an announcement at San Diego Comic-Con that Macho Man's back in the WWE family with a Legends deal? All conspiracy, don't run with this news. But that's where my mind went. So you never know, but it's fun to throw stuff out there. You never know, it could just be a sale on Macho Man stuff, or there could be a lot more to it. We'll see what ends up happening there, but I found that to be some interesting news. What the heck? I'm just minding my own business, trying to go to Target on a Friday night, and they just put up on WWE Shop Mr. Perfect, Ted DiBiase, CM Punk, LJN Mattel figures. Of course, all sold out. Missed out on them, but late breaking news on a Friday evening. I can't believe it. What are we doing? LJN Friday, I guess. Shout out to Target. Maybe I'll find something here. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Speaking of interesting, how about AEW Jazwares? Near end of the line, closer and closer every day, of course, as we know, Todd McFarlane. But we got Mark Sterling. He has a Jazwares exclusive via Collect Major, a partnership figure, if you will. Supposed to be up for pre-order, I think, in May. Well, here we are in June. What the heck's going on? But Mark Sterling himself took to the message boards to alert everybody that it's looking like July and August now. So the wait keeps waiting, I guess, what we're going to do. But that'll be one of the final figures from Jazwares, as we do know. And it's been pretty quiet on the Jazwares front. I talked about it last week. I heard a little birdie told me, and I'm not at liberty to say anything yet, but there's been talk with a company to make make AEW. I always want to call them Jazwares figures, Todd, but AEW figures. And I think it would blow everybody's mind. And it's not Mattel. It's not Hasbro. It's none of those big ones. But more on that, I guess, in the future if it comes to fruition and stuff like that. And if I can say, and I'm told I can say, maybe I'll say. There you go. But then I just have to dangle that carrot out there to get everybody angry. But better that than nothing. How about? At least there's movement on a future. That's good enough. There you go. Moving on to a few other things. How about Zombie Sailor Toys? Their ECW Extreme lineup officially for pre-order right now. But in a huge plot twist, you buy the entire wave, you get a free Danny Doring figure, which a different way to go to market, different way. You pay for it at the end of the day. It's not like it's a free figure. He's making his return. He's making his money on it. But a cool marketing scheme, strategy, whatever you want to call it. Kudos to Zombie Sailor for doing that. And I'm here for Danny Doring to match my Roadkill figure. So if you're after those, pick them up. Sounds like there's not going to be a lot of extras on these. If you read some of the commentary from Zombie Sailor Toys, sounds like it's going to be a pretty slim run compared to some of the others. We'll see if that stays true because we've seen a lot of the Zombie Sailor stuff still out there, still available, seemingly being rerun. I don't know. You never know. We'll see where that ends up going. We saw Grapplers and Gimmicks this week. He saw Too Cold from Zombie Sailor and he said, I'm going to do a Too Cold. So he did. He got my friend Charles Skaggs. I'll never forget the afternoon I spent with Too Cold Scorpio one time. He showed me a lot of sick dance moves, Todd McFarlane, and I'm just waiting for the right time to bust those out. But he was a very nice guy to me. Yeah, he might have stabbed some guy in the head down in Kansas City maybe a year later after that. But for the time I met him, he was a great guy. Great guy. There you go. But we got Too Cold coming from Grapplers and Gimmicks. Looks very good. One I'm very excited about and could be the sleeper wrestling figure line as a whole so far, as we've got one set of British Bulldogs figures from them. It is the WrestleFeds line. We got Macho Man. Pre-orders going on right now. Head over to WrestleFeds. Pick up your Macho Man. These figures are amazing. I can't wait to see what happens in the future with these. We know more Macho Mans are coming. We know Tatanka's coming. These are really, really good figures, and I can't wait to see more of these. And it looks like Macho Man is our next step. Get your pre-order in if that is your thing. How about our friend over there, KWK Sean, turning and burning all the time. Consistency like a clock. Always appreciate that as well. 6:15 just around the corner. Last chance for Bad News Brown, Bad News Allen. Get after it if you want that. And then he did put a post out there because our good friend Conan, of course, it sounds like he's enduring more medical issues, losing his other leg as the rumors going around the interwebs. And KWK has Conan signed to a deal. We're going to get a lot of Conan figures in 2027, which I'm sure will be good for Conan. Lift his spirits a little bit, I would hope. But he did put that message out. KWK was going to announce all that at San Diego Comic-Con. I think a little bit of take a Conan's in the news. This is a way to get out there a little bit more. I see what's going on with that. So we got Conan coming next year. More on that very soon, I am sure. And then as the stars foretold last week, as my crystal ball foretold, I said, hey, we got Tommy Dreamer in June. Looks like Raven coming in July for Big Rubber Guys, the extreme Big Rubber Guys. I said, that means to me Sabu's probably coming in August. Well, what do you know this week? Up for pre-order, Sabu, August. So we're getting one each month. Almost feels like the Figure of the Month Club. I am here for that, especially if they're in stock. That should be pretty good. Can't wait to get Sabu. But now, can you believe it, Tom McFarlane? 2 conspiracies this week.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Now, this could be a stretch, but it's probably not. It is probably straight up conspiracy, and it's directed at me this time from the Big Rubber Guys Collect Major. We got Macho Man Randy Savage Cincinnati Reds gear. Of course, it smells with real piss smell, of course. It's like the opposite of Stinkor in some ways. It actually smells like human piss from the skywalks in Cincinnati. That's what it smells like. I hate to say it, but now they did make the announcement up for pre-order right now. Dodgers Macho Man Randy Savage. Now, first thing, obviously they watch this channel all the time, the Collect Major crew. They're hanging on every word, as we do know. And more on that in my Q&A. You better watch that Q&A with my wife straight from the pool and try to focus on me in that Q&A because I do talk a little bit about this, a little bit. But they are coming out with the Dodger Blue Macho Man Randy Savage. Cincinnati Reds already there. Is it a coincidence or not that those are my 2 least favorite major league teams? I will never forgive 1988 with the Dodgers, Todd McFarlane, and you know 1990. Eric Davis, that whole crew over there. Come on, what are we doing? Barry Larkin, get out of here with that. Not a fan. Those 2 teams beat my Oakland A's. I think there's a conspiracy here. They're trying to get me out of these figures and saying, we're going to put out the Reds and Dodgers, Kyle's least favorite team. I see what they're doing. I see right through that kind of stuff. I know what's going on there. But if by chance you're a Dodgers guy, you love a little Kirk Gibson, you're all down with Fernando, you love a little Oral Hershiser, well, guess what? You're in luck. Mike Piazza, yeah, kind of. Not quite that era, but we'll take it, Todd McFarlane. If you're in for that, you go over to Collect Major, pick it up if you need it. Is up to you, as we do say. Speaking of Big Rubber Guy style figures, how about Latuni Giant Series Ric Flair, the one where he's holding the shoe? A wild one-off thing, but very memorable and a very cool idea for a figure. It'll be interesting to see how well it sells, but it is available right now, as well as WrestleMatics series, Andre the Giant Machine, many different looks over there. If you're after those, pick them up over there at Latuni. And then one that came out of left field this week, AMNX. I'm still not really familiar with this brand. Apparently they make G.I. Joe style figures, but they got my interest, perked up my ears with the British Bulldog and apparently Rowdy Piper coming in the future. But it is G.I. Joe style wrestler. So you get British Bulldog in tactical gear. You got Matilda there to come along with him, maybe the drug sniffing dog or something. Not exactly sure what's going on with that. But I find it to be a very, very interesting toy line that could have that crossover appeal from G.I. Joe and wrestling fans, or it could be one of those things where wrestling fans say, not what I'm looking for. G.I. Joe fans, not what I'm looking for. Sometimes crossovers sound great, and sometimes it turns off a lot of the collectors. Perfect example for me, I love G.I. Joe and wrestling. You could say they're my 1 and 2. I'm not interested in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover with the Ninja Turtles, which I also collect. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, of course. But same thing for Turtles. I did collect the Turtle WWE crossovers on Mattel side and Playmate side. So it really is a roll of the dice what fan bases will accept crossovers like this. Some work, some don't, some, of course, in the middle. Be interested in your thoughts. Are you going to pick up this Bulldog? I'm leaning towards yes, just because I think it's an interesting concept, especially if they can build it out with some other people. But we'll see where it ends up going at the end of the day. As we did know, Matt and Brian from, of course, Collect Major, Big Rubber Guys and stuff, they were going to have Valaverse figures that looked amazing in the Stomp gear. It never happened, never came to fruition. So would love to see those, maybe in the future. We'll see what happens there. And then we do got Top Rope Collectibles, Joey Janela ×3. They've been promoting these for quite some time. I do like that all 3 versions are very different, though. I do find fun in that, and I understand guy can get the most out of your molds as well. Very interesting. So if you're after those, pre-order coming very, very soon. And that's it for wrestling news, except our old friends. It's time, Todd. It's time for the Power Town Update.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
All right, it's time for the Power Town Update, and unfortunately, not a lot of news to report this week. Can you believe it? There wasn't much news out of Power Town. As we do know, Steve Rosenthal, of course, the leader, the man, the face of Power Town at this point, since Magnum and Greg Gagne got on their horse and went off into the sunset, headed to WrestleCon in Minnesota this summer, apparently. But they've all but washed their hands and left Steve out by himself, and we did hear from good friend of the channel, Brian Myers, a couple of weeks ago, that Steve was over there in China, and we put pretty good tabs on Steve. We saw he was searching talent. He was looking for talent for America's Got Talent, stuff like that. So he was working on some side hustles on the side over there, but he was in the factory this week is what I did hear. And by my investigative journalism and some of my reporters out there on the scene is I got a worldwide web in more ways than one, Todd McFarlane. Bam, like Spider-Man, something like that. But I did get some reconnaissance out there at the Power Town factory, and apparently they had a little bit of an infestation this week. Now, when you think of that, you think of like snakes or rats or bugs, maybe termites, something like that. But apparently it really slowed down production this week, as we've heard a lot about aliens in the news. You know about this, Tom McFarlane, the aliens? There's a lot of talk about reptilian overlords, the Nordics, the Greys, all these different ones. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things. And I don't know if we'll get full disclosure soon. Apparently there's a movie about it from Steven Spielberg. There's a lot going on. But apparently, the best of my assumption here, in my, of course, investigative journalism, it sounds like there was an alien, some kind of a hybrid, some kind of something, and that's what infested, of course, the Power Town factory over there in China. The Lucky Group, you're exactly right. Thank you, Tom McFarlane. The Lucky Group factory. And apparently this alien was a little bit unfriendly and was out on the attack. So as you can see from that little snippet there, of course, before the cameras went out, that of course the Power Town, the Lucky Group, they lost some good men on that line that day. And from what my sources tell me, that alien is still loose in the factory. Production has been moved to a standstill, and I'm not exactly sure when things are going to get back on track, but I'll try to keep you up to date as best as I can. China's a far way away. I don't know if I can dig a hole in my backyard to get there. I'm not sure. But we'll see. We're on the clock, Power Town, for years, multiple years. I'll have full gray hair by the time I get these figures. Yeah, you're right. I'll never get these figures, Todd. But anyways, as our friend Jerry Reed always says. All right, let's get down to a little bit more toy news. This time we dive away from wrestling. It's YoJo June. It's not just for my birthday, Todd McFarlane. We got YoJo June. Yep, it's Waylon Jennings' birthday in June, too. You're exactly right. And my wife's, don't forget her. But we're going to dive into YoJo June, and this week, some of the stuff we saw last week got the pre-order treatment. So go over to Hasbro Pulse, get your Vamp Part 2, get your Action Man, the White Alpine. Is that what that is? Is that what people are calling it? But we got Action Man for your, was that a 2000 thing? Late 90s, 2000s type thing? I think that's what that was on the Action Man. And then we saw Grand Slam and the HHS, all those up for pre-order. I'm sure they're gone from Pulse by now. But they'll be back. They always come back. We know how that goes. We also saw Dusty and the Avalanche Trooper. We saw renders of them. So we didn't get a whole lot of moving of the needle this week. We got some pre-orders. They spent a good amount of the time talking about the Skybound comics, which I wish I had time to read, but I don't. So not a lot of stuff talked about this week, but we'll see what ends up happening next week. I feel like they're going to have to do a little bit more something as YoJo June progresses a little bit more. But not to be outdone, the Marvel Legends team said, hold my beer. And it's early in the morning, but they're drinking beer over there early at Hasbro. But they did a Marvel Legends stream this week. We got a little No Way Home Spider-Man. We got some Spider-Man classics. We got Green Goblin back for a return of duty, I guess. Very interesting to see this one come back out. Apparently the old one jumped up in price, pretty hard to get. And as we say all the time, follow the money. No conspiracies here, Todd. Follow the money. They're going to put stuff back out. You know a thing or two about that in your vault releases, Todd. We see it from Mattel. There's money to be made and they can legally do it. Guess what? They're going to put it back out. So we got another version of the Green Goblin from the movie. We saw Boomerang that was misspelled. Hopefully that's fixed for the final edition. We saw Scorpion. We saw Spidey from the No Way Home movie coming out later this summer. So we'll see how that ends up doing. We saw Doctor Doom's Secret Wars, which is interesting. I said, we already got that as a 2-pack. Why are we getting this again? I looked at it, though. It's more closer to the original Secret Wars edition. One of the first action figures I remember playing with a lot as a little kid. I actually bought 2 of the previous versions, so I don't really need this, but I think my plan is I'm going to buy this one and convert those other 2 into Doom bots, I think is going to be my plan. But a very cool idea here, a very nostalgic action figure for me in my collecting. We also saw Thunderbolts 2-pack. Very surprised they're doing more of these. That was kind of a bomb of a movie for the most part. It was okay. I was glad I watched it once, but the figures didn't sell that well. But we got another 2-pack. Void looking cool. Murdered Out is what I would call it, Todd McFarlane. And then we saw the Valerie Elaine Dennis 2-pack. That's an amazing twist of fate there. You Seinfeld collectors are going to want that one. So that one did go up. We did see Cypher, a bit of a deep cut, I do think, a little bit before my time and part of the New Mutants. And I was more of an X-Force kid, of course, as you can imagine. Just look at me. I look like an X-Force guy, not a New Mutants guy. You can see me, but I was a little too young to read New Mutants. They weren't on my radar, but X-Force #1 is where I started off real hot. But we did see Cypher there, and I think Cypher got killed along the way, but like everybody else, they always come back. And I think, isn't he like taking over for Apocalypse or something in this day and age? I can't remember, but we're getting him as a Target exclusive. Have to imagine long game on that one. You might do pretty good. We'll see where that ends up going. X-Men 97 figures coming back out. This could be one of the figures of the year. A lot of people going to be after this one. It is the Mighty Beast, looking beautiful in blue. A lot of people are going to want this Beast figure. There's no doubt about it. I think that'll be cool. I'm sure we'll see that at San Diego Comic-Con here in a month as well. And then we saw more Wolverine Deadpool figures. I was a little shocked to see those as well, but we did get Cavalrine. I think it's Henry Cavill or Cavill as Wolverine from that brief glimpse. That's an interesting choice. X-Force Deadpool, what I always think of X-Force Deadpool in the gray colors. And then we saw Wolverine Pool. Oh, quite the amalgamation. Todd, you working on that amalgamation line from DC Marvel? I think that's where your sweet spot is. I think you can hit it hard. Love to see that in the future. But we got those guys coming. So a lot of Marvel stuff, a lot of stuff as we're nearing closer and closer to San Diego Comic-Con. But the hits keep on coming. We go over to the Masters of the Universe. Check out my podcast this week. Of course, The Kyle Peterson Show. I give my full review and my thoughts on the He-Man movie. I am going to see it one more time. There's $5 Wednesdays. There's a group going. I said, you know what? I'll go. $5, I'll go see it one more time. Who knows if I'll ever have the opportunity in my lifetime to ever see a He-Man movie on the theater. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. Hard times for the movie, but I do feel that we'll probably get a sequel. I'm 60-40 on the sequel because I do think they did make a lot of money on merchandising around this. There was a lot of tie-ins on that. You're going to have streaming. You're going to have DVD sales, whatever those may end up being. I think they'll get where they want to be. Probably not as high as they wanted to be, but I think they'll get it to a point where maybe it is time to make a sequel. I just don't think the sequel will have as much money behind it as the first one, I would have to imagine. But we'll see where it all ends up going. And I say this on my podcast, the next episode, which is up for Patreon YouTube channel members right now. There's a lot of people like, it's almost like a HasLab or something. There's people that actively root against it, which is really weird to me. It's like, if you don't like it, it's one thing. But don't just sit there and post a million times. It's terrible. Don't go see it. Don't go see it. Who cares that much? I don't know. But it is what it is. If you want to see the Masters movie, see it while you can is what I would recommend. But we're not done with Masters news. Speaking of the Masters movie, Chronicles Ram Man, who we unboxed in the 2-pack with Fisto, getting a single card release, which is interesting, but also makes a lot of sense. The figures seem to do very well, which goes back to my point. There's a lot of figures being sold around this movie, which I think will help project it to a sequel. We'll see what ends up happening there. And then this week, I am having buyer's remorse, FOMO, whatever you want to call it. I am having some regrets, Todd McFarlane, as I really do wish I jumped into the 2000X Mondo He-Man line. I passed on He-Man. I just straight up missed Anti-Eternia He-Man. Those meetings, they'll get in the way. And then I missed this clawful figure that looks absolutely amazing. And that's the one that sold me. And now I'm like, man, why didn't I get these? So I said, maybe I'll go. I'll look on eBay, see where I find them. They're like $600. I said, nah, I guess I'm out. I guess I missed out, which really sucks. We're early in the line, but it's like, I guess I'll just have to admire from afar. But I would have liked to pick those up, and I am a little disappointed in myself. But it is what it is. It wasn't meant to be. That's what I'm going to tell myself. It wasn't meant to be. But this week, they announced Tila Orko 2-pack. You get a small female and a little magician. We'll take it. A Trollian? Yeah, maybe something like that, Todd. We got those going on here. So if you're after those, pre-order should be up in about a week. You snooze, you lose. You could be like me, or you could not be like me. Your choice. Choose your own adventure. Moving on to some other properties. How about NECA? A lot of different stuff from NECA this week. We saw Fortnite Ninja Turtles, Fortnite Shredder. I'm not a Fortnite guy, but part of me is like, I like it how they're different. I might get them just as representation of turtles. On the fence on those. Maybe a little bit of long game. I got time to decide game is what we'll call it on those. But they look okay for what they are. That's what I'm going to say. We saw NECA, man, they're milking the molds like crazy. Another Art the Clown Terrifier, this time Thanksgiving edition. So if you want Thanksgiving Art the Clown from Terrifier 2, you can pick that up later this year. We also saw another Pennywise drilling that body mold into the ground, and we got the black and white one. I do like the sparkly kind of red on the balloon, but another Pennywise coming at us, and then another ghost face. Shocker, Santa ghost face. Perfect for those Christmas displays. Get your Santa ghost face. We got him coming in. And then our friends over there at Ramen Toys. I met Ace like once or twice. Ace, not my dog, of course, not Ace Frehley, but I did meet him as well. But Ace from Ramen Toys. He's got Knight Rider. We know that's coming. Very interesting. I'm not a big enough Knight Rider fan to pick it up, but I would love to have a David Hasselhoff figure in my collection. Who knows? We'll see what happens in the future. But it sounds like this week we got the Dukes of Hazzard. We got Bo, Luke Duke, and of course, Daisy Duke, Catherine Bach herself. Spent many a time as a kid just listening to the ballad from old outlaw Waylon Jennings and then jumping in and out of the car through the window, Bo and Luke Duke style. Would love to pick these up. I may get these in my collection. Was it LJN that had those original 3 3/4 ones once upon a time? I had Daisy Duke and Boss Hogg. I did not have anybody else. That was an interesting choice by my parents. They said, let's get Kyle Daisy Duke and we'll get him Boss Hogg. But we don't need the Dukes. But played with them a lot. They kind of mixed into my Joe Fed every once in a while. But very cool to see Ramen Toys make those. I might take a dabble on those in the future as well. And then, of course, last but certainly least, we're going to Todd McFarlane from the couch. Good friend Todd McFarlane celebrating the Target Geek Out event this week. You had the Vault releases, of course, from the McFarlane figures, which I already have in the collection. So moving on from those. But Target coming in hot this week. This could be the toy line that gets my dad back over here. We'll see if we can get my dad out of retirement for the second time. We got Magic versus Bird. We're going to relive the big 80s rivalry. Larry Bird versus Irvin Magic Johnson. We got them in Todd McFarlane's Sport Pick line. Looks okay. $20. Love the price point. A little bit to be desired in some of the articulation. A lot of people complaining about the shoes on them. But you got to understand that'll make that price point $40 if you do put the right shoes on them. But is what it is. But I need Larry Bird, of course, as the Larry Bird of action figure collecting in some circles is known. Also known as Bread Jesus. You're exactly right. And the Demon of the Golf Course. And John Daly Jr. That's what I've been referred to a lot of different things, especially this week. But I am picking up Bird and Magic Johnson. Got to have those in the collection. An 80s rivalry. My dad loved it. That was primetime NBA for me as a very little kid, watching all those games. So kudos to McFarlane doing that. We also got Troy Aikman, Jerry Rice. I've never been a big NFL guy, but 2 Hall of Famers, as we do know. I think he's got some legs here, and Todd is trying to plug holes. I'm not the only one plugging holes around here. Todd is, because he's losing DC. He's trying to get Poppy's playtime. He's trying to get that one going. We got the mascots. We got the sport picks from all the different sports. We're trying to diversify the portfolio to plug the holes. We'll see where it goes for Todd McFarlane, but I'm rooting from the sidelines, and like I said, I'm picking up Magic and Bird in my collection. And Todd, that is the toy news. A busy, busy week this week. But what are you interested in? What do you need in your collection? What tripped your trigger in the toy news? Any news from you, from China, from Powertown? Anybody got a direct link? Let me know in the comments down below. You made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels, 2 YouTube channels, content every single day. Check out Patreon. Check out YouTube channel memberships as well. Check out Whatnot very soon. I'm dangling the carrot a little bit. The great return to Whatnot with a twist is coming. I'm going to blow your socks off with this one, folks. You're not going to believe it. No, people aren't going to believe it, but I'll be back with Whatnot, and it's going to be to another level. We're going to take it to another level, but it's not my level. It's a different level, but all will be explained sooner rather than later. But also check out Sir Paul 64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and The Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, which is the name of my podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show, available where podcasts are found with video cast on YouTube. So for another week of the toy news, you know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling to go visit good friend of the channel, Joe Bob Briggs.
I walk 47 miles of barbed wire. Use a cobra stick for a nickel.